Hey folks, happy post-Thanksgiving. Now you have all this leftover turkey, what do you do with it? In this video, we're going to make some absolutely awesome turkey soup, leftover turkey soup. This is so good, it shouldn't just be treated as leftovers. It should be just a main dish that you cook once in a while. And super easy to make. Takes about 2 hours because we're going to let it simmer, let all those flavors meld together. So if you like these videos, please give us a like and subscribe to our channel. It really helps the algorithms out for YouTube so that more people see us, and it helps us make more videos. Here's a look at the ingredients you're going to need. We have the ingredients for a mirepoix. We have onions, celery, and carrots. Then we're also going to add some scallions and parsley. Then we're going to throw in some potatoes just for, I don't know, potatoes don't need a reason. They're just good and hearty. First off, I'm just going to chop up all of our vegetation. We'll chop up our scallions first because, well, that's what was there. If you're not familiar with scallions, they're also called green onions. They give a rather distinct flavor. They're usually really cheap at the grocery store. Here's some Italian parsley. Much prefer the fresh stuff. Now for our celery, celery's nice and cheap. This is part of the French mirepoix. If you're familiar with the Cajun Holy Trinity, that is onions, celeries, and bell peppers. The French mirepoix is onions, celery, and carrots. So chop that up, I don't know, about 1/4 inch slices. You know, you don't want these things to be real big. They will actually cook down a good bit, so they just sort of disappear in the soup. Then we're going to chop up a full onion, and I've talked about this in a lot of videos, the way I chop my onions. Cut it in half, get rid of the outside layer, and then just sort of thinly slice it, not quite a julienne slice. Lots of ways to chop onions, but this works for me. I'm using just a Spanish yellow onion. You can use a white onion or even a Vidalia onion. Vidalia onions are actually Spanish yellow onions grown in Visalia, Georgia, or the 3 or 4 counties surrounding Vidalia County. It's mostly a marketing term, but that region has an extremely low sulfur amount in the soil, so it really does produce a sweeter onion than just a typical Spanish onion. So if you can find them, they're actually really good. Just sort of cleaning up my board a little bit, making some space. We're not going to use these for the first hour of cooking, but we're going to go ahead and dice up our potatoes. Notice I threw the carrots that are already matchstick carrots. A traditional mirepoix would be you peel the carrots, or if they're thick, and then just chop them up in about 1/4 inch slices. I had the shredded carrots in the refrigerator, so by God, that's what we're going to use. So in this, I'm going to use red potatoes because they hold their shape a lot better. Well, you put a white potato or a russet potato in, it's just going to turn to mush. The red potatoes, after boiling it for a full hour, it's still going to be fine. So that's not going to be needed. If you saw a little hand sticking out, that was my son Jackson. He likes to help cook. Sorry, that wasn't Jackson's hand. That was his little toy knife sticking out, this little wooden knife. It's really cute. Anyway, put some olive oil in your pan, and then we're going to go ahead and start sauteing our mirepoix, our onions, celery, and carrots. If you don't have a board scraper like this, I highly recommend getting one. They're really cheap, just a few bucks, and it makes scooping up veggies off your cutting board a lot easier. It's a tool you'll use over and over again. I'll put a link in the description to these on Amazon. Again, they're really cheap and very, very useful. So just throwing in the last of our mirepoix, the carrots, and we're going to just saute this. I'm not measuring. A good handful or two just seems appropriate. Again, part of cooking is using what you have, and it's not a perfect science. It's not like baking where you got to measure every single thing out. You can get creative. If you like carrots, you can throw more carrots in. And if you don't like them, don't throw any in. Just a big heavy pinch of salt's always good. And give it a stir, and we're going to let that saute for a few minutes. Now after a few minutes, go ahead and throw in your other veggies. And we're going to let these saute a little bit. Your parsley is going to cook down quite a bit with the heat. So is your celery. It's mostly water. Give it a good stir and just saute these down for, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes. The aroma's pretty awesome. And we'll go ahead and add in 2 or 3 cloves of garlic, 4 or 5 if they're small like this. I like using a garlic press because it crushes the garlic and releases a lot of the garlic oils. And it's a finer chop, a lot finer mincing, chopping, whatever, than I could ever do by hand with a knife. And it just gets stuck in there. So throw that in the dishwasher, give it another good stir, and I wish you could smell this. It smells amazing. All right, when you feel you have sauteed enough, add a 1/4 cup of flour to this. That's going to bind with the olive oil that we already have and make what is technically called a roux. Although it's not going to look like it because we have all these veggies in it. But what it will do is thicken the soup, but it won't thicken until our broth that we add later almost comes to a boil. I don't know the exact temperature, but that's when it thickens. Now we are literally just throwing in our turkey legs and turkey wings. Just don't worry about it. Throw them in. The meat's going to cook and fall off the bone, and then we'll pick the skin out. So have some fun with it. Throw it in. I just filled it up with water. And we're going to add some chicken bouillon to this. That is 1/8 of a cup, I believe. So add it, stir it, cook it for a while, taste it. If you need more, you could add more, but you can't go back the other way. Off camera, after cooking this for about an hour, I actually did add another scoop of chicken bouillon. It's a lot of water. It can take that. So remember, you can always add more, but you can't take any back. Now, after cooking for about an hour, we throw in our potatoes. And on hindsight, look at the potatoes starting to brown. I probably shouldn't have chopped those up and let them set on the stove for an hour, but I did. It was still delicious. So after an hour cooking, throw them in, cover the pot, just let it keep on simmering. I like this recipe because you can add more potatoes if you like. You can add more veggies if you like. You can add more chicken. It's really a good recipe for just getting rid of what you have on hand. So cover it up, and then we're going to simmer this for another hour. That probably seems like a really long time, 2 hours of cooking, but it gives all the flavors a chance to meld, and it's really worth cooking for that extra hour or so. Now I'm going to start to pick out the turkey legs, and I tried to pick out all of the skin that I could, and of course the bones, but the meat just fell off the bone. You can see that here in a second, and just the meat's going to easily shred apart. So just pick it apart, shred it with a fork. Comes off so easy. I know this probably looks kind of gross, but I left the skin on for 2 reasons. One, it'd be kind of a pain to peel off before you're cooking, and mainly the fat in the skin adds a ton of flavor to your broth. So no way I would remove it pre-cooking. One thing I did not expect by boiling the turkey legs is there are a bunch of little very thin bones in there somewhere. I guess they were in the turkey legs, not the wings, but either way, be sure you go through the soup very carefully and pull those bones out. We don't want anybody getting choked. They're pretty obvious. They're pretty long, like 4 or 5 inches long, so kind of hard to miss, but you know, there you could see one. And although that looks kind of like a chicken thigh, but that's actually one of the chicken wings. So pick out all the skin. Just take your time with this. It's not going to hurt you, but it will make a better presentation, I think. All right, folks, I thought that the broth was a little on the thin side, so I am adding cornstarch to thicken it. Remember, flour would just clump if you add it to a boiling liquid, and flour only, first you've got to mix flour with a fat, olive oil, butter, etc., and make a roux to then make your liquid thicken, and that only thickens close to boiling. Cornstarch you can add to your boiling stock, and it will thicken. I probably added a little too much, I thought, but it turned out to be absolutely perfect. So you can add this to a boiling liquid and it will dissolve. Just give it time, stir it gently. You don't want to beat up all your chicken and your veggies, but stir it in really nice, and that thickened up my soup just to the perfect, for my taste. I don't like thin soup, but it made the perfect thickness, full of flavor, lots of color. Again, I don't think this should be just a leftover recipe. This should just be a once in a while. It's absolutely incredible. Go ahead and give it a taste. If you need to add more bouillon, this would be the last opportunity to do so. I'd already added a second scoop, and it's absolutely delicious. I wish you guys could smell this. I hope you try it. And next, we get to eat it. So I'm just going to serve this up with some Ritz crackers, nothing fancy here, just a good hearty meal, especially. Well, I live in Tampa and it's 75 degrees and sunny, so sorry for the rest of you that are freezing, but this would be great on a cold fall day. Just going to crush up my crackers. Again, nothing fancy here, but if you have enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe it. I hope you do try this recipe because it's really, really awesome.